Welcome to the Kentucky Public Pensions Authority KERS Hazardous Petition tutorial. This tutorial was developed to help state and quasi-government state agencies properly complete the paperwork associated with petitioning the KRS Board of Trustees for hazardous duty coverage. For a position to be approved for hazardous duty coverage under the Kentucky Employees Retirement System, or KERS, it must meet the definition of hazardous duty as stated in Kentucky Revised Statute 61.592. This statute is the guideline that the KRS Board of Trustees uses to determine if the incoming position is eligible for hazardous duty coverage. An agency has a right to petition the board for hazardous duty coverage for any position within their agency, but unless that position falls within the parameters of this definition, it is unlikely the position will be approved. Once an agency is ready to begin the process to petition the board for hazardous duty coverage, the agency should first reach out to the ERCE representative. The ERCE representative will provide information on the petitioning process, the due dates, and the hazardous duty contribution rates for both the agency and the employee. Following this contact, the ERCE representative will send the hazardous duty packet to the agency reporting official. In order for a hazardous petition to be presented to the KRS Board of Trustees, the agency must complete and return the hazardous duty packet by the due date provided by the ERCE representative. The KRS Board of Trustees will review all submitted hazardous duty petitions during their quarterly board meetings held in February, May, September, and November. Please note, the dates of these board meetings are subject to change. The hazardous duty packet contains multiple forms that need to be completed and requires additional information be provided by the agency. It is strongly encouraged that the agency return this packet to their ERCE representative before the due date in case any revision is needed. If a revision is needed and the corrected paperwork is not back by the due date, there is a chance that your petition request will be deferred and presented at the next quarterly board meeting, which could result in a later effective date on the coverage for the position. Let's review the forms and additional information that will make up the hazardous duty packet. When an agency petitions for hazardous duty coverage, the agency must complete the Form 7013 Hazardous Participation Certification. When entering the information for the effective date of coverage, remember the effective date of coverage must be the first day of a month, and the earliest date of coverage is the month following the KRS board meeting. By completing and signing this form, the agency head and budget officer are verifying they will comply with the laws and regulations related to hazardous duty participation, including but not limited to reporting all employees hired into the approved positions as hazardous duty and paying the appropriate contribution rates on each member employed in a position approved as hazardous duty. Agencies under the 18A Department of Personnel statutes must also provide a letter from the Governor's Office of Policy and Management stating that the current budget allows for the hazardous duty contribution payment for the positions being petitioned. On agency letterhead, provide a list of the position titles the agency is requesting for hazardous duty coverage. The title on this letter needs to match the title as it is found on the job description and position questionnaire exactly. Also included on this letter should be a list of all employees currently working in a position going before the KRS Board for hazardous duty coverage. Please provide the employee's name, social security number, job position title, and for the 18A state agencies, the 8-digit job ID code. The Department of Personnel will create this job ID specifically for the hazardous duty position title. This position title and employee listing is a very good place to add any additional information you would like to present to the KRS Board for the petition. For example, if you wish to request a retroactive effective date, please include the date and the explanation why an earlier date is being requested within this letterhead. Or if the agency is petitioning for a newly created position that needs to be on the list of job titles, but there are no employees currently in that position at the time of the petition, please make a note of that on the employee list. Each job title going before the board requires a copy of the agency's job description to accompany the hazardous duty petition. This job description is the driving force behind the position title and will determine the title provided on the position title list, the position questionnaire, and the employee HP2 form. The job description will also be compared to the position questionnaire for duty-related information. The agency must complete a Form 7025 position questionnaire for every position title being petitioned to receive hazardous duty coverage. The KERS agencies need only complete Section 1 and Section 3 of this form. In Section 1, provide the name of the agency and the position title, then answer the questions using the yes/no radio buttons as required. Failure to complete the questions in Section 1 will result in the form being incomplete and returned to the agency for more information. In Section 3, begin with the name of the agency and the position title. Agency will then list a duty that the employee does within the position, provide a brief explanation of the duty, and a percentage of time that this duty is performed. The percentages cannot equal more than 100% between all job duties listed. Do not use a position title as a duty title. You must break the job down into actual duties. The duties shown here are for illustrative purposes only and can vary from one position to another. Please note, this information is what the KRS Board reviews to make the determination whether the position should or should not be approved for hazardous duty coverage, so please be as detailed as possible in your descriptions. If you determine you need more space, you may make extra copies of Section 3 for the additional job duties. Don't forget to provide the employer's name and the position title in each section, and the title must be identical to the title on the job description and the position title list. The agency head is the only signature allowed and must be provided on both pages. If additional copies of Section 3 have been submitted, please verify those also contain the signature of the agency head. The final form in the Hazardous Duty Petition packet is the Form 2011 Hazardous Duty Certification HP2 form. This is an employee form and must be completed for every person currently working in a position that is being petitioned for hazardous duty coverage. The title of the position on this form must match the title as it has been submitted on the position listing, job description, and position questionnaire, and the effective date cannot be prior to the effective date of hazardous duty coverage for the agency as provided on the Form 7013. Statute also requires a physical examination be performed within 12 months of the effective date of coverage, and a copy of that physical exam is requested to accompany the Form 2011. If the employee does not have a member ID, hold this form on the employee until a member ID has been generated. Please do not submit this form with a blank field or a social security number. This form may be signed by the agency head, the agency reporting official, or the department head as long as they are an authorized signature with Kentucky Public Pensions Authority. Please be aware the effective date of coverage on the Form 2011 must also match the employment begin date for the position title reported electronically to KPPA on the monthly report. If they do not match, the agency will be contacted to verify the correct date, and the Form 2011 will be invalid until this verification. Here are some final facts and reminders about the hazardous duty petition. If a packet is not completed in its entirety, or if there are errors on any of the documents, the packet will be returned to the employer to correct with no extension to the due date. The position title must be identical between the position title list, job description, position questionnaire, and the employee hazardous duty certification form. The hazardous effective date of coverage must be the first day of a month after the board meeting, unless specifically requested in writing, and must be identical on all paperwork. Retroactive effective dates cannot be guaranteed approval by the KRS Board. If your agency head is signing forms, make sure they are set up under contact person in employer self-service as the agency head. Hazardous duty coverage is granted by position, not by person, and once a position is approved, anyone hired into that position is under hazardous duty coverage. Changing a position title will not void the hazardous duty coverage if the job duties are the same or similar to the approved position title. If an agency has multiple pay grades within a position title, and the position duties do not change between grades, consider only petitioning the main title for approval, not each pay grade level. If an agency wishes to have an already approved hazardous position title updated, for example, policeman to police officer, send a current job description with a letter requesting the change in title name. Thank you for reviewing the KERS Hazardous Duty Petition tutorial. If you have any questions about hazardous duty participation, please contact your ERCE representative or the ERC hotline at 1-888-696-8810.